Bates.
Here's one for you, Tommy. It says, how will we know for sure it could be Dorsey? Does Sean fire Dorsey if our offense is so predictable again?
I mean, I don't. Was it really that? I mean, it wasn't. I don't know if it was predictable. I thought at
the end.
Sure, but it wasn't. But it wasn't super predictable. We were second in scoring. Like, how predictable could it have been? Now, I will say, I agree with you. They're towards the tail end of the season. We had struggles all on offense, no doubt about it. And in the playoffs, however, I will say this, against a very blitz-heavy Dolphins team, we still scored 30-something points, 34? Mm-hmm. So it's not like we were 22 points or 17 points. We scored in the high
Bengals game. It wasn't like the Bengals
Exactly.
Game.
Like our offense, who didn't show up that game? The defense against the Dolphins. Our offense, you can't blame Ken Dorsey, scored 34 points. Or 37, whatever that score was. 37, 34, 34, 31, whatever it was.
Yeah.
So, yes, against the Bengals, didn't look too hot. But neither did the defensive line. Neither did anybody. Like, that. Listen, here's the deal, man. I still will say this, and I will say this till he gets fired or whatever the hell happens. We went out and got guys that were retired to go play wide receiver. Mm-hmm. How good was that team last year? How deep was that roster on offense when we have to go out and get Cole Beasley out of retirement, John Brown, who hasn't played football in 3 years, an offensive line that stunk, that could not even protect Josh Allen for 2 seconds, a run game that was non existent because we had no offensive line. I'm just throwing that out there. So how much creativity can he get? Now, can he get better this season if everybody does their job and he still says, I'm going to play flat, vanilla? Fine. I'll be on the board of get rid of Dorsey. No problem, because now you got your weapons. Josh is getting protected. Running backs are getting, run game's going good, and you're still kind of playing this very vanilla type offense with no really creativity. I'll get that. But I don't see that happening.
I will get that if we have another failure like we did against the Bengals. Because if you go back and look, yes, there was up and downs throughout the year, but there always is, and he was a rookie offense coordinator. Mm-hmm. Now, the question shouldn't be like, oh, Dorsey was so bad. The question should be to McDermott was it smart to hand the keys over to a rookie offense coordinator? We get that Josh wanted him. That's why he's there. I get it. He was a hot coaching name. He was going to get an offense coordinator job. Like, I understand the whole reason.
Oh, yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. He was getting head coaching looks after the last season.
Right,
like, he was interviewing. So how bad was he really?
Right.
I would like to see more creativity, but I think Tommy makes some good points in the fact that, how creative can you get when you don't have protection? Would I like to see more of the pop passes and little things like that come back? Yes, but it wasn't that way. So at the end of the day, if he falls flat, if our offense is the reason why we don't make it, then yes, I could see Dorsey getting let go. However, nothing I've seen makes me think that's going to be the case.
Yeah,
that we're going to lose because of our offense.
I agree. Exactly. It's been the defense side. But let's say, I will say this though too. Let's say we do ball out in offense. Let's say Dorsey and his offense look good, right? Mm-hmm. More than likely, I'm going to tell you all right now, Dorsey's going to probably get a job as a head coach. Because if he's already, like to Mikey's point, he's already getting calls this offseason when everybody was saying how shitty he was, which he wasn't. If people and teams are already intrigued, if he has a good season as OC this season, a top 5 offense again, and actually does better, even a little bit steps up his game as OC, trust me when I tell you he will not be our OC next year, the following year, and you're going to be stressing as Bills fans on who we get as OC. Who could come in and be that guy that Josh gets along with, that understands Josh? Because remember, it's all about what Josh, the reason why Josh wanted Dorsey, because he wants to be on the same page as his OC, and him and Ken have a very good relationship on what I like, what I don't like. And I got to be honest with you too. I feel like Josh likes Ken because Ken trusts Josh and says, hey, you know what? Go out there and do. I kind of feel like in the beginning, Dable kind of handcuffed Josh a little bit. Mm-hmm. He kind of uncuffed him a little bit there on his last season, Dable. But I feel like Dorsey's right away says, Josh, I trust you. Do what you got to do. You know what I mean? And he put the ball in Josh's hands and let him. Now, maybe that's a little bit of, maybe he shouldn't always do that, right? Because Dorsey sometimes needs to dial that
Rein
back,
him
like you
in.
said.
Rein him in.
Yeah, exactly. But I like the fact that he doesn't handcuff Josh Allen. You want to go run it? Let's do it. Let's fucking make it happen. And I like that intensity, right? And I think Josh does too. So what if he leaves and we get a new offensive coordinator? Josh and him on the same page. You got to really find a guy that clicks, which understands Josh's game. And it's not that easy. Not every OC has the same vibe on what your quarterback wants.
You already have him on the roster. His name's Joe Brady.
Yeah, it could, but it may be. Mikey, you might be right. That's fine too.
Because
I'm totally good with that.
I think that's what the Bills have done is they started putting
Grooming.
Grooming. I think that's why Joe Brady came to the Bills. He chose the Bills over a couple other teams is because he knows at some point
there's an opportunity.
Dorsey's going to get a head coaching job. It's going to open up the role. And then he gets Josh Allen, who he'll now spend 2 seasons with as the quarterback coach every day with Josh. Josh will know him. He'll know Josh. Then they'll
build that chemistry. Yep.
Very much like a lot of the successful, you look at Sean McVay. Sean McVay's done that. How many head coaching offense coordinators are in the league from Sean McVay? Same thing with Andy Reid. How many head coaching, offense coordinators from Andy Reid? Like those, I could see that happening if we have a really good season. Say we get over and we make the AFC Championship game and go into the Super Bowl. I can see Dorsey getting a head coaching job, and I can
100%.
see us turning to and handing the keys to Joe Brady, who was a hot prospect, was a former offensive coordinator for the Panthers. They just had a crap show in that whole thing.
Right.
And now he's rebuilt his career here. I can see us
doing that. I wouldn't hate that. Exactly what we did with Dorsey. Think about it. Dorsey got here in 2019. He was a quarterback coach. And by the way, he was a quarterback coach in Carolina, groomed Cam Newton to be an MVP type quarterback, got them to the Super Bowl. By the way, a lot of people forget that. Hello. Groomed Cam Newton, and y'all say he's plain Jane. And if y'all ever hear Cam Newton talk about Ken Dorsey, it's nothing but praise and love. Everybody that knows Ken Dorsey has given him praise. I haven't heard one guy say Ken Dorsey doesn't know what he's doing. He's flat. Everybody says that dude is a hard worker, stays late, watches film. I'm telling you guys, personnel has a lot to do with it. I felt like last year, going 13-3, being the number 2 scoring offense, maybe we overachieved on offense, considering how bad the line was, considering how receiving crew. Right. So you really want to be honest? I think we overachieved on offense. How about that? And you're all going to say, what? Yeah. Damn right. I'm saying Bills Mafia in general, not you. Because Bills Mafia thinks we should have been this high-powered offense. How?
We were high-powered offense. Except for the last game.
But it shouldn't have been.
I think that's part of – well, yeah, we should have been. We should have been. When you have Josh Allen, you should be a high-powered offense.
Not if you can't protect your quarterback.
Well, we still were.
You know that,
offense, and we didn't protect him. So,
yeah, right. It says a lot. That tells you what you need to know.
Again, my issues with Dorsey was not the plain Jane. I would like to see more creativeness out of him. And you're very right. It could very much be because he just didn't have the offensive line to do what he wanted to do. He didn't have the personnel that he wants. You have to remember, he comes from that Panthers where they run a lot of 12 personnel.
Right.
They had Shockey and Olsen.
Exactly.
During
maybe that's why they went out and got the Dalton Kincaid.
So they can add that 12 personnel to his offense to allow.
And maybe that's why they drafted Osiris Torrance in the second round, and they went out and got a McGovern, who was, by the way, the first free agent that they picked, and Edwards and the Shell. They really piled up compared to the year before or the year before that. This is the first offseason I could tell you the Buffalo Bills finally addressed the offensive line. I still think it needs a little work, but
2020, I think 2020 was the last time they really went out and invested in the offensive line.
Quentin Spain, right? Was that year? Was the Spain year?
Yeah, we signed Spain. We traded and brought in Bates.
Mitch Morse came in, right? Was that the Morse?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that's fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's between 2019 and 20 is when we really invested on the interior. We then started investing in the tackles and bringing guys in, but we haven't invested in the interior. Because even in that years, that's when we drafted Cody Ford. It didn't work out, but we still invested.
Right.
And then the last couple of years, we've just been grabbing 1 year guys, late veteran guys, and it just didn't work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Band-aiding the offense.
Look at that, Tommy. Okay, you're changing my mind on Dorsey.
I'll tell you what, I don't always hate that play. I don't always hate it. Yeah, exactly. And sometimes it works. Listen, it all depends how the defense is playing it. You got to remember, listen, when it doesn't work out in that play, we're all like, what an idiot play. But when it works out, you're like, well, because the defense was going for sure, Josh is going to run it or they're going to hand it off for 1 yard, and we hit them deep. We did that in against Pittsburgh with the Gabe Davis at the goal line when we were 2 yards out of the goal line, and we hit 90-yard touchdown to Gabe Davis wide open because they were playing they were playing a short yard pass or a run.
That way, week 1, Gabe Davis on the little rollout flip ran in for a touchdown. However, what I think Jose's saying here, and Jose, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you're saying I want to see 3rd and 1s and us be able to pick those up with the running back. Where we don't
agree.
Have to throw that.
Oh, I agree. I want to pick 3rd and 1s up by a running back and not always Josh Allen.
He's like, I almost broke my TV on that play.
I know. Trust me, dude. I get frustrated too, man. I am with you on that.
So